Hey, folks, this is Wayne, and this is my podcast partner, Paul. What up, Paul?
Hello, everyone.
And we're just going to do a review that we were going to do anyway on the show, but I thought I'd turn on the video camera so y'all could see it.
The first ever crossover between Waxing and Waning and the Countdown Podcast.
That's right. So let's just see how this goes. All right, Pauly, why don't you go ahead and start the show any day you want to do. Welcome to the Countdown Podcast. Today we're going to do a review of Train to Busan for you, a show that Paul loves and I only just saw last night.
Oh.
My name is Wayne.
And my name is Paul. Straight into it then for this really old now film, 2016 Korean horror film.
That's right.
Zombie film, if you want to be really specific, which is directed by Yeon Sang-ho. And then I could sit here and go through lots of Korean names, except I'll embarrass myself and butcher them. So they're people that you probably recognize from different films, particularly Ma Dong-seok.
Yes, the dude from
guy.
Eternals.
The big guy from Eternals. There you go.
Didn't know he was in it.
Wayne, this was 180 minutes long. It was an $8.5 million budget film, which normally I give Wayne a chance to guess on, but that would be really unfair.
8.5 mil.
Yeah, that's all it was made for. And around the world took in 98.5 million, making it one of the most successful Korean horror films of its time as of 2016. It did spawn a sequel, but we can talk about that more later. Wayne, what is Train to Busan about?
Okay, so it's about this dude. His name is Sok Woo, and he's a father, and he's a typical, very busy Asian father because he's a fund manager and doesn't have a lot of time for his daughter, and his wife is estranged. So it's just him and his daughter. His daughter's name is Suan, and basically she wants to go see her mom. They have to board this train to Busan in order to get there. So he's doing that. He boards with her, and you think it's going to be just a normal trip, but it turns out the world gets overrun by zombies.
Aha, didn't see that coming, did you?
Did not at
well,
all.
You probably did if you're watching this video.
Exactly. So then this movie is him and his daughter on a train trying to escape a shit ton of zombies with a bunch of folks in the train who as yet are not zombies. As yet. So that's the film. And Paul has been trying to get me to watch this film for many years now. And I finally succumbed. And
oh, I am so waiting for this. We all know Train to Busan. If you're a listener to our podcast, Train to Busan is one of my favorite films of all time. It literally, I was redoing my list the other day. It is in my top 25 films ever made. It's one of the best horror movies made. I think it's the best horror movie of the last 10 years. I'm on record as saying that. So we know where I lie or where I stand on this one. But the big question is, where does Wayne stand? And the podcast is not continuing the way it's continuing. Will we still be best friends?
Yeah. No, well, here's the thing though, right? If you know the show and you know me, I hate horror films. I hate the shit out of them. They all suck to me. And zombie movies can really eat my ass. So
what? No.
Yeah, okay, so Paul is a soundboard, by the way, everyone, in case you haven't noticed. And I was like a bit contentious. I'm like, all right, let's check this out. I saw it last night with my lady friend.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Oh, interested in her opinion as well.
Yes.
Has she seen it before?
She has not seen it before, but she has been to Korea. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's more than me.
I mean, and Busan, in fact. So,
did she catch a train there?
She did not catch a train. She flew because apparently the train takes a bit of time.
Okay. Yep.
So, what did I think? Well, Paul, I had initially thought that this movie would just be fuckwits and zombies on a train, right? Like it wouldn't be that interesting. It's just, here's a bunch of people on a train and then some of them are zombies and that's the movie. Turns out it actually was not.
Okay, good.
Just that, Paul. You're right. This is a fucking great film. All right, it's a great film. I didn't expect it to do so, all right, but
I was fully expecting you to play the whole, this film sucked, Paul, you suck, you're the worst person ever, and then maybe reveal your real feelings.
Yeah. No, look, I'd love to have done that, but, we don't have a lot of time. So what I would say to you, though, is that, okay, so I didn't expect them to actually take the story places that it did go. And by that, I mean physically, they would actually turn up at different stations. There would be external shots to the train. There would be external adventures to the train. Then they get back on. Yada, yada, yada. Very, very good. Character study-wise, the bomb, essentially. Like, it's probably just the right mix of heart and feeling and
that's a surprise
horror.
Yeah.
Because I was... And here's the thing. I didn't expect that no one would actually kill a zombie. Like in all these zombie films you see, it's like, well, you smash their brains or you blow their head off and then the zombie goes. That's not the theme in this film.
No, they're not.
They're just
not
running.
Warriors. They're not warriors.
They're
They're
just running.
trying to escape, yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
Which is...
you do see evidence of zombies being able to be killed.
Yeah.
But you're right, other than maybe a couple of broken necks, which may have taken care of a zombie, you don't really get to see in the plethora of them that are chasing the main characters. You don't really see the characters stop. They fight, they defend.
Yes.
Defend's probably the better word.
That's true.
But they don't take out zombies.
Yeah, and even when you got baseball bats and stuff, it doesn't really. It's not a thing where the zombies get dispatched; they just get held at bay, which is kind of makes it better because these are the fast zombies, ladies and gentlemen. It's not there's not the brains one with the slow moving. This is they'll chase you down and fuck you up.
Well, it's not even just that they're fast zombies. It's that the way they erratically move.
Yeah.
Especially when they're turning. There's some really great body contortion work going on between. Clearly, they've hired people that can do this, where they're flexing their body in weird kind of ways and carrying their limbs in
Oh yeah, there was a dude
weird
like that.
directions.
Yeah,
And
with
it adds to the discomfort and overall sense of craziness that this film really does well at conveying.
Yeah, and that was and I think though because like again, as a guy who doesn't really care for zombies films, that was sort of that's just the setting for this film. What they're really doing is giving you character studies, right? And there's a bunch of different people on here. You had said to me, you know, there's people who you really want to get to, who you you know, like, and then there's like the better people, and you want them to survive, and yada yada yada. And of course, that is all intrinsic to any kind of movie, specifically one where everyone's trapped. But I do think that the young girl was amazing. Suan,
character.
amazing little actress. Like I really like. She's such a cute little thing as well. You really want her to, you know, like you want to
Survive.
protect her.
Yep.
And then so you are like the avatar of that is her father, of course, who's trying to protect her and do a really good job of it. And I know why Paul liked this film. Because basically
Hold for spoilers.
Yeah, okay.
Hold for
All right, we'll hold
spoilers.
for
We'll get
spoilers.
there.
But yeah, no, I think it was it's a horror film, but it's kind of an action film, but it's kind of not an action film, but it's kind of a drama, but it's kind of a study.
Well, I think you're right. I think this film straddles genres in a way that very few ostensibly horror films. If once you get zombies involved, with the exception of films like Warm Bodies and the like, very few of them are not horror films. So first and foremost, on the tin, it will say horror film. I think that's correct. But then, yes, it is a drama, and there are very dramatic elements. And yes, it is a thriller. There are very thrilling scenes in this particular movie. We'll get into those in spoilers.
Would agree.
And then on top of that, we also get, I think, some really heartfelt. I guess that falls back to drama, but yeah, there's almost zero comedy in this movie. There's nothing's played for laughs. Played very, very straight laced. So if that's what you're looking for, including the thing falling behind us on the wall, off the wall,
that's right.
Then you're probably looking in the wrong place.
It's a new studio. Yes.
Everything else, new studio. That's a nice way of describing it. But everything else is what you see is what you're going to get, except it's handled so much better, to use your term, Wayne, handled so much more professionally. Maybe that's not the right word. It's just balanced perfectly.
That's a good point. The pace of it is good. Like you would, because look, we've had this. Korean films are usually too damn long. They're really long, okay? And then for all the good parts of it, there are also very like sort of ponderous kind of like slow parts to it. This didn't really have that. I would say that the first act is actually kind of near perfect because it doesn't dwell too long on the preamble before all the stuff happens. And when you finally see that, it's like the world, you don't know what kind of trouble the world is in or Korea is in at the time. You just see snippets of it and you see the characters noticing it. And then when it finally shuts down and goes full forward, it just doesn't stop. So then it becomes like this really wicked kind of, now you're just hanging on for the rest of the movie. And what is it, like 2-ish hours?
Just under
2 hours?
118 minutes.
That's fine, okay? Korea, that's how you make movies. Don't make no damn 3-hour films. It's bullshit, all right?
There's your little snippet there at the start of the video.
Yeah. For fuck's sake, Korea is what it is.
I think it's also worthwhile mentioning that what this film does technically for an $8.5 million budget is pretty astounding. It looks better than it has any right to look. There are some really genius ways that they shoot, because most of the action, not all of it, is on a train.
Yeah.
And you're quite limited, right, by what you can do on a train as a
That's
result.
why I didn't want to watch it. I'm like, what is this? That scene out of like Sherlock Holmes 2 where it's just a train for a while? Like, no.
Or like Bullet Train. So again, that director of Bullet Train, David Leitch, he found ways to shoot it to make it interesting. So too does the director here, which the camera moves alongside. They take out walls of the train. Obviously, the camera's moving there and right along the wall line. There's overhead shots. There's angles, and not Dutch angles, but very low angles. And it's directed so well. And the editing is largely on point. There was only 1 or 2 moments in the film where I thought, okay, we probably could have cut that a little short of that scene, a little bit long. Some of the reaction scenes, if you will, to some big moments in the movie that we'll get into when we get to spoilers. But otherwise, I think there's a near perfect film. And I forgive the budget reconstructions. Some of the special effects towards the end, there's a little bit too CG, like the massive wall of zombies that form when they all run into the same place.
I didn't mind that. But
you?
okay.
Okay.
Well, I was just I was in the
Which
I
is
was
very
in
World War Z, which was, I think, earlier than this film, or around about the same time. There's scenes like that in that particular movie. Do you remember
yeah. I never saw World War Z,
you-
but
okay.
I've heard a lot of critics say that this is what World War Z should have been.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
And what this film does really well at the start also is, much like Shaun of the Dead, that we really keep it restricted to the characters and their perspective. So how they learn about this zombie apocalypse unfolding is how we learn about it. So
Yeah.
unlike his overarching third person kind of or omnipresent narrator, you were just seeing little snippets, and that news report here and that fire engine truck was running past.
Yeah.
Again, much like Shaun of the Dead. And I really loved that element of the film too.
That's a good point. The fact that you're with them as opposed to like knowing already what they don't know, that makes it more tense. So
You get the one little precursor scene before the credits where we sort of see the very first instance of the outbreak. And then other than that, we are with the dad and his daughter and the peripheral characters through the rest of the movie.
yeah. Okay. Oh, now was this a huge hit? This was like, I mean, can I assume this was like, 'cause the fact that we're looking at it here years later, I assume it did very well internationally.
Yeah, I joke sometimes that I was one of the first persons I knew in podcasting world to start championing this movie, that
Yeah.
I was the one shouting it from the rafters and getting people involved to listen to it, and people come back, oh, Paul, that was amazing. And I'm a little bit disappointed that the sequel did not list me as an executive producer, but nevertheless,
Is the sequel shy?
it's not shy, it's nowhere near as good.
All right.
And for reasons that we can maybe talk after the spoiler element. But yeah, look, overall, Train to Busan, as I said, one of my favourite films of all time. So clearly I'm going to give a massive score, but we'll get there at the end. Wayne, any final general thoughts before we get into spoilers?
Just that what actually, shall we say, ended up happening with the characters did surprise me a little bit. But the way that it was handled was really, this is a good director here. Because now he's actually like touching, pulling at your heartstrings at the same time as this is a zombie film. So I was into it.
I am very, very pleased. I'm like,
Inconceivable.
Wayne liked this movie. I'm so relieved as well.
Well, the girl was like, I said,
Yeah, what does she think?
I said to her, like, I said, that was good. And she goes, the humanity aspect and the drama was really good, but the zombie part sucked. I'm like, yeah, but here's the thing. No, but here's the thing. I said to her, I explained, I said, yo, it's a zombie film. They all suck dick. But the idea here is
You're
that...
mocking me, aren't you?
That's it. It's a zombie film but it's got this element. It is good for us despite being a zombie film. For you, probably, as well as being a zombie film.
It's amazing on top of being a zombie
Yes.
film.
So there you go. So if you're a horror fan, abso-damn-lutely, you need to see this. Yes, subtitles is not a problem. Just go for it. I'm
Please,
saying it's the
there shouldn't be
shizzle.
a problem this day.
Shouldn't be a problem.
And I
Shouldn't
should
be a
also emphasize, that's the word I'm looking for, that my wife also watched this movie with me and also enjoyed it. So it has, I would say, 4 quadrants is not the right word because you can't show this to children, but to anyone who's an adult, I think there's something here, honestly, for just about everybody.
Yes. And both our partners are quite Asian, but still, there's something here for everyone.
Sure. All right, then, let's get into it on the other side of Jack.
Hit it. Spoilers.
You can't handle the truth.
Okay. Now, here's some spoiler shit, okay, that I was impressed with. I didn't expect the dad to get infected, Paul.
Yeah.
And it was a real heartbreaker. And you've got children. I have no children. I'm barren. But if you have, like, happily barren, I should say.
Again, we assume.
We think, for all I know. And so, like, when he gets bitten, because it's like, oh my God, and it's the asshole guy that bites him.
Is he not one of the most detestable, hateable characters
It's a piece
in
of
cinema
shit.
history?
Throwing people who came to help him in front of zombies so he can get away.
Directly responsible for the deaths of about half the characters in this movie.
Easily. And he's a piece of shit. And he's a piece of shit salary man.
And I don't think he died harsh enough.
No, I would agree. He doesn't know he's infected. You just turn up, oh, he's infected, and he has a bit of a problem with it, and then he just turns. No, we want to see him torn limb from limb
pieces,
while he's conscious.
Yep.
That's what I was hoping
So
for.
that may be a small mark on the film as well. But it does allow him then to get into this big fight with the dad and his daughter and the pregnant lady, the only people that are left. Everyone else has been wiped out in this movie. And then, the dad jams his hand basically into its mouth to stop it from getting to the people he's caring for.
Hence gets bitten.
He gets bitten. And then, that parting scene where he's telling her, take care of her. I love you.
Yeah.
And she's in tears and he's in tears. And then he runs out. Oh, my God.
But even like before that, she's like, stay with me, because she's got abandonment issues because the mom left his dad.
Well, through the whole film, it's been him not being a good dad and being very selfish. And
Yes.
she largely teaches him through the course of the events of this film in an arc that feels very earned.
You
and
don't care
works
for
a lot.
anyone, that's why mom left.
Yeah, that basically he has to be a better person, and he starts being that person. He starts helping other people and doing the right thing. And And as a result, I guess he dies. I'm not sure what the message is there.
No, well, there's no message. What it was that I think that apart from the fact that he's like, yes, I'll stay with you, I'll never leave, but now he has to leave. All right, and it's like, oh shit, and then you're dealing with your daughter, and then he just goes, and then he just runs out because he knows his time is running out. He's sobbing and crying. But then the scene where like he's kind of, he's turning, and he knows he's turning, but he chooses to just remember the moment of her birth and feel that, like, happiness, that gratitude.
That love.
And that's how he dies and then falls away,
And that great shot of the shadow.
The shadow of him falling, just so he makes sure that he doesn't then attack them. Like, all this sort of shit is like, well, that's probably
the culmination of that arc, right? That he's gone from being selfish to completely selfless.
Selfless, yes.
That, yes, he will make sure that he's not going to hurt anybody else. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
And then now, like, the fact that, okay, that all happens, and now there's only 2 people left, right? And then, this was pretty cool.
It was awesome.
Finally, the mom and the kid, the pregnant woman and the kid are walking towards, can we just assume that her real mother actually died because she's not, her phone's off? We don't know, right?
We just don't know.
We don't know. Okay. So, and then she's about to get taken out by a sniper, and then she starts singing the song which she had practiced for him, and that's what saves them, and then it ends.
Beautiful ending, wonderful ending to film.
Shit.
We need to go back in time a little bit, though, to some of the set pieces of this movie in which we do whittle away our characters. I think this film does a good job of creating secondary characters you give it a shit about. Kind of like Aliens. Like, not so much... the one writing part, which I'll get to in a moment, involves 2 older characters on the film, which I'm a little bit But I really like the kid who's the baseball player and the girl who likes him, and she's kind of thrusting himself on him. Those 2 are cool.
Those are cool.
I love the big dude. He's the guy from the Eternals.
Everyone loved that guy.
He was such a great character in the way he sort of spoke and whatever else, and the way his wife is, he's so useless. He hasn't even picked a name for his daughter yet. And then that's the very last moment he gets before he dies, and how he sacrifices himself for everybody. Such a heartbreaking moment. The guy who I guess is a homeless guy who he also commits to the bit.
Exactly. Everyone finds their hero in the end.
And then the worst villainous guy of all time who's convincing the other people who are just scared to join with his worldview and effectively kill everybody else or leave them all to die so that he can survive. He's such a well-developed character as well. You loathe him to an absolute T. Like, say, he's a wealthy guy who just expects the world to fold around him. He's the owner of a bus company or whatever they say he is at one particular point in the movie.
Yeah.
He's so detestable. I think we did an episode on the top 10 characters you most love to hate, and he was right up there for me in my top 3. So,
do you and there's a moment in the film where the dad and his subordinate are on the phone, and they're like, "Shit, we are the ones who sold the stock in this company, and that's maybe why the infection happened. Is it my fault?" That kind of thing.
Yeah, well, the subordinate, something. I didn't quite understand why he thought it was his fault.
Because at the beginning they unloaded all of this stock on a particular bio company. And then he said, "Sell it all. Do you know what the repercussions are? Hey, do you think you're working for Lemmings?" And I think that was the idea. That company was actually the company that
I only watched it
somehow
about 6
released.
times, and I was like still foggy on that detail. But
that was a moment as well, because then the guy says, "It's not your fault." Then he claims, "Fuck, it's my fault. I'm the one who gave the order to sell all that stock," because he's a fund manager and everyone hates him. So that was another element which I thought was kind of cool. I'm like, this is. And I didn't know if that the other guy had anything to do with it or not, but
we'll never know.
We'll never know. It's one of those movies.
Accepting some responsibility, and I have to change as a result of that. And then we get the set piece. They get off the train at a particular station, and all the soldiers have already been turned. How great was that when they turn around and start chasing them?
That was nuts.
And then the big guy saves the daughter because the dad's not going to get back there in time. That's awesome, that scene.
See, although in a way, the asshole guy that we hate, he was the one saying, "Don't stop at the station, go straight to Busan."
He
says, "We got to figure out stuff."
He was right.
Exactly. He was right one time.
But at that point in time, he's still completely selfish.
He didn't know. He wasn't doing it.
Exactly.
He just wanted to survive himself. Yeah.
And I really like that scene where they're on the train and then they'll be separated as they go back on the train off this station, and people are in different compartments with the zombies in between them. And they've got to work out a way to get through like 4 carriages, at least 2 of which are full of zombies, to get to the pregnant wife and the daughter, Sue-Ann, and a couple of the other surviving characters who are hidden in the toilet.
Yep.
That was so cool. Like, first of all, how they work through the fight.
We've got 4 trials. Yeah.
They're ready for it. Fight. That was good. Like you said, baseball bats, and they tape up their arms. They can shove their arms into the zombies' mouths and not get bitten. And then I
would have wrapped my neck. Well,
wrap the whole body. But how would you move? But
exactly.
And then that scene where they realize darkness, the zombies just lose any and all sense of whatever.
Is that a typical trope in zombie?
No, very new thing.
Okay, cool.
So that was a great little addition. And then that leaves that scene where they're trying to sneak past the zombies, crawling across the luggage compartment, or what do you call it?
Oh yeah, the overhead rack. Yeah,
rack is
totally.
what
Yeah,
well, thank you very much. The overhead rack in there, that was such a great scene as well. And then culminating with the guy stepping on the can and then they were all charging at him. Such a well-produced film. It
Look
looks
where you're standing, bro.
amazing, by the way. I watched it on Blu-ray again for the first time in a while. Looked amazing even on Blu-ray, so I can't wait to get the 4K def of this particular film.
Nice. Okay.
All right, well, that's basically as much as I really want to say about. I'm so pleased that you enjoyed it. But is there anything else, Wayne? for you?
No. But what I will say, so what is your rating out of 100?
Well, let me come back to the one bit I didn't like.
Please,
the one bit
please.
of writing the whole film. There's a sequence in the film which results in one elderly character's sister being killed,
Right.
and they show them to be quite dependent on that lady,
Yes.
on her older sister, basically.
Yes.
And then she chooses, and the way they allow the zombies to get back into this part of the train, because they're pretty much safe at this point in time. They've got them locked off. They can't get to where they are. They're at the right end of the train, closer to the conductor and the rest of it.
Yeah.
And she chooses to kill herself and basically
But was she killing-
submit. But in so doing, she's going to kill everybody else. And it didn't buy for me that she was that impaired
Yes.
that she would sacrifice everybody else in that train carriage just for her to die.
Was the idea though that she had she was messed up. She could see her now infected sister
Yep.
through the glass. Screw it, and she opens it. Like she's a bit of a prick to actually
but
go and do that and kill everyone just because I wanted this.
I didn't buy their connection being that strong. I know she was dependent on her.
Was she
That-
dependent though?
Yeah, there was.
They both seem just like-
she boiled eggs for her and gave
Oh,
it to
okay.
her, and this
All
kind
right,
of, it was
yeah.
almost like there's the implication that maybe she had a disability of some kind or another. But I don't buy that she would
Sacrifice
everybody
everyone
else
for her.
selfishness.
Yeah,
So she could have just waited
you're
until
right.
they landed.
She
and stepped off a
needed. She
train.
needed to be a cuntier character.
Yeah, they needed to do a better job of establishing why that was the case. It's
Hmm.
a very small knock on an otherwise really great film.
Yeah.
If we could somehow rewrite that scene to make it work better.
Or just add one sequence in where you know she's a prick and it's like, that's what she would do.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I guess we had one really detestable character. Maybe they went, we can't have two. That's too many.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right, Wayne,
All right.
you go first.
All right. Out of 100,
Yeah.
I'm actually going to give it. I'm trying to ignore the fact that it's a zombie film. So let's go with 83. That's pretty good.
I'm very happy. 4
There you
stars
go.
for a horror film. This would have to therefore be one of your better horror films you've ever seen.
I don't know, Paul.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah,
I'm
okay, all right.
guaranteeing
No,
you,
it is. It is.
The listener, that this is absolutely the case. It's not often Wayne gives any horror film over 70. Normally
Hmm.
I'm ecstatic with a 60. So I'm so pleased that you enjoyed it. For me, one of the best horror films, as I mentioned, ever
Yes,
made.
yes.
And I would suggest to you, it doesn't quite crack the 5 stars because of what I've just talked about there with
Okay.
that particular plot point.
Really?
A couple other little bits and pieces don't quite add up for me. But overall, I give this a 94 out of 100. It is in my top.
That
21
is
films ever made.
essentially, yeah, like the highest, one of the highest scores I've ever heard Paul give. So there you are. And he's a prick about this shit, all right? He never gives high scores. This is his jam. So very nice.
You can't handle the
I'm
truth.
telling you, man, I've never heard a 90 anything from you, almost. So there you go.
There we are. That's our review of Train to Busan. I'm so pleased that Wayne is now on board the train.
Yeah,
and he's setting
good man.
out for the station to watch more zombie films with me whenever I recommend it.
Let's not go that far, motherfucker. Let's go. That's shit. But yes. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this Train to Busan review. You, the listeners of Waxing and Waning, and the listeners of the Countdown podcast, go ahead and check out our show if you want. There'll be links in the show notes underneath.
Do
But yes,
And you know how to get in touch with us if you're listening to this on the podcast end of the spectrum. It's the same things as it always is. This has been an absolute pleasure, not least of all because Wayne actually has seen the light and listened to what I've said.
Well, it's not.
Hallelujah.
Okay. Well, whatever.
I guess we'll get out of here. My name is Paul.
My name is Wayne,
And this has been The Soundboard.
which I hate. I stand resolute, motherfucker. Okay, he's playing me back at me. That happens.
That happens. It does
Yeah,
happen. Although
all
I
right.
did use the swear word, which I'm not allowed to use on YouTube. Is
No,
that
it's
right?
fine. I've already said cunt like 12 times.
Oh, in that
All
case,
right.
I guess we're here. Thanks very much for joining us. We'll catch you next time.
See ya.